If there's one thing that unites every single beginner rider on the planet, it's this: stalling. You'll stall at traffic lights, you'll stall pulling out of your driveway, you'll stall in front of an audience of pedestrians who are all staring at you, and every single time, you'll feel like the world's biggest idiot. But here's what nobody tells you. Stalling is not a sign that you're rubbish. It's a sign that you're learning a mechanical skill that requires precise coordination between your hands, your right foot, and your brain, all while sitting on a machine that wants to tip over if you stop thinking about it for half a second. Of course you're stalling. You'd be weird if you weren't. So let's break down exactly what's happening when you stall, why the friction zone is both your best friend and your nemesis, and how to practice until smooth starts become automatic. We'll also talk about recovering when you do stall in public, because that's a skill in itself. And we'll tackle those bad habits: too much throttle, dumping the clutch, the dreaded death grip, the ones that make everything worse. Why stalling happens and why it's not destroying your bike. Let's start with the basics. What actually happens when you stall? In simple terms, you've asked the engine to do something it can't. You've either let the clutch out too fast without enough throttle, or you've given it too little throttle while asking it to move a heavy bike from a standstill. The engine says, "Nope, can't do that," and cuts out. That's it. That's all a stall is. It's not a catastrophic mechanical failure. It's not you breaking the bike. It's just a mismatch between what the engine can deliver and what you're asking it to do. Think of it like trying to start walking up a steep hill while carrying a heavy backpack. If you don't get your momentum right, you'll stumble. Same principle. Now, here's the thing beginners worry about. Am I damaging the bike every time I stall? Short answer, no. Modern motorcycle clutches and engines are built to handle this. You'd have to stall hundreds of times in quick succession to cause any meaningful wear, and even then, you'd probably just glaze the clutch plates a bit. Stalling once or twice a ride, the bike doesn't care, honestly. What does cause wear is repeatedly slipping the clutch for long periods, like riding the friction zone for 30 seconds straight, trying to crawl through traffic. That generates heat and wears the plates. A quick stall and restart, nothing. Don't sweat it. The mental side is harder than the mechanical side. When you stall, you feel embarrassed, you panic a bit, and then you rush the restart and stall again. This becomes a spiral. The trick is to pause, take a breath, reset, and try again calmly. Easier said than done when there's a car behind you, but we'll get to that. Bottom line, stalling is a learning tax. You're paying it now, so you won't have to later. Your bike is fine, you're fine, just keep practicing. The friction zone explained in very simple terms. The friction zone. You've probably heard this term 1,000 times, and maybe it still doesn't make sense. Let me try to explain it in a way that actually helps. Inside your bike, there are two spinning plates, one connected to the engine, one connected to the rear wheel. When the clutch lever is pulled all the way in, these plates are separated. No connection, no power to the wheel. When the clutch lever is fully released, the plates are pressed together. Full connection, all the engine's power goes to the wheel. The friction zone is that middle bit where the plates are just starting to touch. They're not locked together yet, but they're not fully separated either. They're slipping against each other, which means some power is being transferred to the wheel, but not all of it. This is where the magic happens. Why this matters? When you're pulling away from a stop, you need that gradual transfer of power. If you just dump the clutch, meaning let it out fast, you're trying to instantly lock the engine to the wheel. The bike lurches forward or stalls. If you hold the clutch in forever, nothing happens. The friction zone is where you can control exactly how much power reaches the wheel, which lets you pull away smoothly. On most bikes, the friction zone is only about 5 to 10 millimeters of lever travel. It's tiny. That's why it feels so finicky at first. You're trying to find this narrow band of movement in the middle of the lever's range, and if you overshoot it or undershoot it, things go wrong. How to find it? Pull the clutch all the way in, put the bike in first gear, and then very slowly start releasing the clutch lever. Don't touch the throttle yet. Just ease the lever out, millimeter by millimeter. At some point, you'll feel the bike start to strain forward slightly, or you'll hear the engine note drop a bit. That's the friction zone. That's where the plates are kissing. Once you've found it, hold the lever there. The bike might creep forward very slowly. Now add a tiny bit of throttle, just a whisper, and keep feeding the clutch out smoothly. The bike will move forward, gaining speed gradually until the clutch is fully released and you're away. That's it. That's the whole skill. It's not magic, it's just muscle memory. You need to practice finding that zone, holding it, and then releasing smoothly. Do this 100 times, and it becomes automatic. There's no shortcut. Hand position and body posture that make clutch control easier. Here's something nobody mentions. If your body position is wrong, clutch control is 10 times harder. You can have perfect technique in theory, but if you're gripping the bars like you're dangling off a cliff, you'll never get smooth starts. Let's start with your hands. Your clutch hand should be relaxed. Not floppy, but not clenched either. Imagine you're holding a small bird, firm enough that it can't escape, gentle enough that you're not crushing it. Your fingers should curve naturally around the lever, and you should be pulling with your fingers, not your whole hand. Common mistake. Gripping the bar with your palm and trying to pull the lever with just your fingertips. This gives you no fine control. Instead, your fingers should do most of the work, and your palm should rest lightly on the bar. Some riders only use 2 fingers on the clutch, index and middle, which can give you even better modulation once you're comfortable. Now, your throttle hand, same deal, relaxed. If you're strangling the throttle, every tiny movement of your wrist will translate into a jerky throttle input. Your wrist should be in a neutral position, not cocked up, not rolled down. Imagine you're shaking someone's hand. That's roughly the angle you want. Body posture. Sit upright. Don't hunch forward or lean back. Your weight should be neutral, maybe slightly forward if anything. Your arms should have a slight bend in them, not locked straight, not pulled tight to your chest. This lets you absorb bumps and adjust without upsetting the bike. Your legs matter too. Grip the tank lightly with your knees. Not a death grip, just enough contact to stabilize yourself. This takes weight off your hands, which means you're not using the handlebars to hold yourself up. If you're using the bars for support, you can't control them properly. Quick test. While riding in a straight line at low speed, wiggle your fingers on the throttle and clutch. Can you do it without upsetting the bike? If yes, you're relaxed enough. If no, you're gripping too hard. Sorted posture makes everything easier. Smooth starts, precise throttle control, better balance. It all flows from being relaxed and centered on the bike. If you're tense, you're fighting yourself as much as you're fighting the bike.